Hey, I'm Jessica Nicole McLaurin, and welcome to Free Friday. That's FFRE for Faith, Finance, and Real Estate. Today, I want to talk to you about how to budget. Particularly, I want to show you the way I budget. So, let me just say that the screen looks like this, not because there's something wrong with your device, but I'm going to share with you um, an Excel screen. So, that's why it looks like this right now. But anyway, I want to show you how I budget. And I know that budgeting can be scary for some people and maybe a lot of people, if not most, because budgeting, it causes you to face your fears where finances are concerned. It causes you to face your financial challenges head on. Maybe you already know deep down that you are not in the greatest financial shape or your family's not in the best financial shape. But budgeting is so important and it is so necessary because if you're wanting to go from point A to point B, as far as being a better steward of your finances, you got to face the challenges head on. You got to know what you're dealing with. And budgeting basically puts on paper or on a device, if you choose to use an electronic device for budgeting, it puts in front of you what you're dealing with. It puts in front of you the numbers. It puts in front of you if you really do have more expenses than you have income. And if you can know that and be aware of that for sure, then you can know what next steps to take. It's just like going to a doctor. You can think that you're sick, but because of fear of what might be said, you choose not to go. But if you go to the doctor, not only will you know for sure what the issue is, but you can have next steps. And that's what a budget does for you. You can have next steps, whether that's reducing expenses, those expenses that you have control over, or whether it's increasing income. So, what I'd like to do is to share with you my screen, which is an example of the budget that I do every month, or well, every 2 weeks actually. In our household, my husband is fine with me doing the budget. And so, hey, I enjoy numbers, I enjoy finances, so he's good with me doing that. Anyway, you'll see that this budget is separated by pay periods. My husband's income is the only one that's the steady income of our household. I'm a full time real estate agent, so my income is commission based. It is not steady. So I do the budget based on his steady income, and he gets paid semi monthly on the 15th and at the end of the month. So you'll see that's how this budget is created. And you can create your budget any way you want. As a matter of fact, you'll see that I provided a link. And if you'll click on that link, that will lead you to um, where you'll be able to download an Excel template of this budget. So, and it's a blank template, obviously. But you can modify that template however you want, whether you get paid semi monthly, bi weekly, once a month, you can modify it accordingly. So you'll see that this budget is separated into four sections, two main ones, including the income and expenses. But under expenses, it's further broken down into annual expenses, monthly or semi monthly expenses, and non periodic or miscellaneous expenses. So in the income, I chose arbitrary values for this example, but let's just say the income is 1500 for this 2 week period. Under the annual expenses, obviously, because these expenses are only once a month, it's not something that you have to give attention to every budget. But that's why I like to show the due dates so that every time I budget, I can look at these dates and see which one do I need to pay attention to. So, for example, for the 15th of this month, December 15th, these dates have already passed and are therefore already paid. You'll see some are auto paid, but some are manually paid. And therefore, I wrote a note to myself, hey, it's paid. So that leaves December 30th. Okay, during this pay period, okay, this will need to be paid. So therefore, I type the $12 in this column because this column is just um, allocated amounts or budgeted amounts, or another word I like to use. What word did I use? Anticipated amount. This is the anticipated amount. And over here is the actual amount. And so you'll see why it needs to be typed over here. And the reason is because I have added formulas to this Excel sheet, which you'll also see that in the blank template that I provided in the link, that there are already formulas so that the calculations can automatically occur. And you'll see that as we go further. But anyway, those are the annual um, expenses. Now, under the monthly and semi-monthly expenses, you'll see that there are some that are semi-monthly, like our tithe and offering, our let's see, semi-monthly. It could savings could be semi-monthly. I don't have that over here, but it could be that you are setting aside savings every pay period. Now, those things that are monthly that may be over here, that's not over here, under the end of the month budget, or vice versa. It would include the utilities or internet or student loans. And so, again, this section is showing both semi monthly and monthly expenses. You'll also, lastly, you'll see the non periodic or miscellaneous expenses like medical bills, something that it may be on the budget one pay period, or for this particular pay period, but you won't ever see it again. So for instance, if you know that there's a party coming up and 2 weeks or a month in advance, I'll write a note to myself, or I may go ahead and put it in my budget template. Okay, let me write, a gift for so and so for their birthday party. And that way I'm already planning ahead, because that's essentially what a budget is, right? It's a plan. And so, like this medical bill, let's say you get a statement in the mail. Okay, I'll pay this bill next pay period. And let me go ahead and write myself a note to include it in the budget, or let me just go ahead and include it in the budget so I don't forget. And that way I already know, okay, let me put this $70 over here for the actual amount I'm going to pay. And so, back to what I was saying about the automatic calculations, because of the formulas that I've already entered. What this has done, this is the total added expenses of all expenses, including annual, semi-monthly, and monthly, as well as the non-periodic miscellaneous ones. This is the total expenses. And based on this number and the income that's at the top, the remaining balance was calculated. So you'll see this formula up here that I entered. Now, let's just say, okay, so ideally in this example, you'll see that, okay, we have money left over. We got a little cushion, which is always wonderful to have a little cushion in there, or a lot of cushion. uh, but in the case that we're in the red or in the negative, and again, this is before you've even paid anything, right? You're just budgeting, you're just planning so far. So if this is before you've paid anything, let's say this is actually in the negative. What can we go up here? What can we do up here to make some things, to make this work out better in our favor? So obviously, I usually don't touch utilities. There are certain things I just don't touch. So bills, internet, all that I don't touch. But what is in our control? Gas, groceries, household items and toiletries, meals and entertainment. Let's go to this meals and entertainment one. So the theoretical amount, or the amount that we would have liked to assign, was 150. Again, let's just assume that we were in the red. So how can we cut back on this expense? Well, hey, I cut back $50. We don't have to go out and eat as much, because that's what, when I say meals and entertainment, I mean going out to eat. We can cook more. We can have leftovers. I know everybody's not into leftovers, but hey, our household is. So those leftovers help save money. And so that's where, you can be more in control of your finances. That's what a budget does. It allows you to see what you would not normally see, and therefore not be able to be accountable for when you don't do a budget. And it allows you to plan ahead. It allows you to be in control, rather than your money being in control of you, or your desires to be in control of you. You can hone in those things. um so that's this side. Now let's just go to the end of the month budget. Same thing. Now, one thing I want to say about the income. So income was 1,500 over here. If you do the total household income, just strictly income, it would be 1,500. But for me, I normally literally put the account balance, so that once all expenses are accounted for, I like to see what's going to be left in the account. And, I want to see how much cushion is left. Now, I would say it may be beneficial just to strictly put the household income, so that you are strictly budgeting based on that income, and you're not messing with the cushion. So that's actually something I could do for myself, is not put the amount that's in the cushion, not include that. Because if I strictly budget based on the income, that will eliminate any chances of me messing with that cushion. Um, but in the back of your mind, you'll know, hey, it's there if you need it. Again, you got the annual expenses. Now, obviously, let's just say this budget is for December 31st, the end of the month. Unless you're going to pay something off early, like these home taxes, there's no need to account for anything. So, for instance, if we wanted to pay the home taxes early, I would account for it by putting it over here, so that it can be later included in the total expenses when calculating the remaining balance. But since I'm not going to worry about um, trying to pay that early, we'll just not consider that, and we'll move on. Let's move on to the semi monthly and monthly expenses. Again, arbitrary values, we're going to include all of these values and pay all of these. Same goes for here. I didn't include any miscellaneous or non periodic expenses in this one. And you'll see that we have a remaining balance. So, and just for example purposes, I just want to show you that when you enter a number, you'll see these values change. So, again, that's how your blank template will be when you click on that link. So, let me just show you that template real quick. When you click on it, it will prompt a download, so that you can download it as your own Excel sheet, and that way you can modify it however you want. But just so that you can see, when you do download it, it'll probably be different font, but that's minor. Otherwise, everything else should be the same. And so the only thing different between this one that is for you and the one I just showed you, that I use, is that there are just more titles. I just wanted to provide a little more formality, I guess you can say, for you, so that maybe it'll be easier on the eye. Hopefully, I don't know. But if you have any issue with the template, feel free to reach out to me, whether via direct message through Messenger, or on Facebook. If it's YouTube, you can always email me at freefriday@gmail.com. Again, that's FFRE Friday at gmail.com. So, hey, I hope this is helpful to you. I hope this is a start to a new journey of a great habit of budgeting. And I'm telling you, even if you're not necessarily a numbers person, just having that sense of control, having more control over your finances than you would have had without a budget, it makes this process a little more fun, a little easier. And the longer you do it, the easier it will become. It will become second nature to budget, because this has been budgeting has been a process that has been happening for years for me. Even before my husband and I got married, I was budgeting for myself. So just know your budget is going to be a working document. It is not set in stone, it is not concrete. Do not be intimidated by it. It is a working document. So just take your time. It's nothing that will change your finances overnight. Don't even expect that, but just expect it to be um maybe a challenging journey, but stick with it, because the more you do it, the better it will become. I promise you. I don't like to make promises, but I'm telling you, if you will just try it not once, not twice, but keep it up and just watch the difference it will make if you do your best to stick with your budget. You're going to mess up at times, but that's okay. Get back up. So, I thank you so much for joining me tonight, and look, have an awesome weekend and awesome New Year's holiday. And guess what? New Year's is my birthday, so I'm expecting a wonderful birthday. But I will see you next Friday. Have an awesome night.